Sephora, where are you? One, two, three, four. I'm here. Almost. Is anybody else there? Sephora, is anybody else with you?
No, I'm by myself.
Okay. I guess we'll just kind of like do this and then I'll record it. It's recording now, I think. So there's going to be 5 minutes of nothing that people will have to fast forward through. Of course, they won't hear that until they got through the 5 minutes of nothing. Okay, so what I'm looking at, and I sent you guys the announcement. Yeah. So the first thing is I wanted you all to research failure rates for social enterprises. So what's the likelihood of percentage of Oh, it's upside down. Uh, so much for this. Is this coming out the right way for you, or are you seeing it backwards?
No, this is good.
You can see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So the percent of social enterprises that fail, and then also some common reasons for failure. Okay, so that's one of the first things I want you all to do. Look for the percentage of social enterprises that fail and common reasons for failure. And then you can compare that with regular for profit businesses. Okay. And then this is something I think the board has to come to grips with. They need to be able to understand what it is that they're getting themselves into. And I think they haven't really taken much personal interest in doing this, and that's why they're like they're thinking this is a good idea. They haven't really done any homework on it yet, and they're hoping that you will give them the answer that they want to hear. But the
Hmm.
one thing is, I think what we have to do now is we have to find more reasons, more evidence as to why this is not something that they should be doing. So the other thing is, uh, how much capital do they need? One of the common things that's always asked of businesses is, or the business owners is, how much money did you put in to start out with? How much have you invested up until now? So, how much capital do they need? And then, where will it come from? So, you got to have money to start a business. You have to have working capital. They're going to need it for utilities. They're going to need it for the initial rounds of salary. They're going to need it for the initial months of rent. So they're going to need cash. The question is going to be, of course, where does that cash come from? So where are they going to get it from? How much do they need, and where are they going to get it from? And then another thing that you got to look at is, um, I want you all to research. So research um, if you can shift money, and you as the board. So if the board can shift money and property from family programs Hawaii to the social enterprise. I think this is a legal consideration that you're going to have to help them understand. Um, I'm kind of working under the belief right now that uh, the board of Family Programs Hawaii would be committing a fiduciary breach if they took assets out of Family Programs Hawaii and committed them to the social venture. Because the social venture, the social enterprise, is really an independent entity. It should have an independent board. It should have independent financing. So the question is, can they even do it by starting up um, the social enterprise with assets from the Family Programs Hawaii? And I'm asking for you to find out about this because the board has already disclosed to you all that they don't think they have enough money to continue to operate Family Programs Hawaii. So they're looking for money, and they're looking for money to be generated through this social enterprise. But we know that, from what you have to research about how much does it take to start up this thing, what's the starting budget for it, what's the sunk cost, so to speak, the money that they have to put up to get this thing going. That's something that they really have to understand. Can they even, in the situation that they're in, where they're of the mindset that they don't have the ability to survive because they don't have enough revenue coming in, can they divert some of their limited resources into starting a social enterprise? I understand that they have good intent, but this really may not be something that should be allowed, or the law may not allow this. So you have to research that. All right. So those are the things that I want everybody to be working on this weekend and into next week, because I think we need to really be able to tell the board of Family Programs Hawaii that this is perhaps not a viable option. They want to hear that this is something that's going to be able to be easily done, but all the things that including things like they can't, there is not enough, there aren't enough people on in the state that have the requisite education, training, certification to expand beyond what they're doing right now. So they want to expand it even more, and they got nobody that is able to take on the job. And that's one big problem, obviously. The board has to be aware that that's something that they're responsible for if that's what they want to do, or at least whoever's on the board of the social enterprise has to be able to have or develop a plan for getting adequate personnel to be able to run this social enterprise. And then all the things that I just asked you from today, like what's the failure rate of a social enterprise? Does a social enterprise fare any better than a for-profit business? How much money does it take to start up this social enterprise? How much cash has to be available to start out with from day one? They can't just say that we're going to just do this, and as the money comes in, we're going to pay our bills. They have to have money to pay bills to start out with before they even get into this, because they're going to have expenses that they're going to have to take care of even before they open their doors. And then the last thing that I mentioned was as to the capital, can it come from Family Programs Hawaii, especially in light of the fact that Family Programs Hawaii is perceived by the board to be in a status where it's close to failing? So would this be like bailing out one organization or putting money into a new organization, letting the original organization fail? And is that any responsibility of the directors? And I will say, yes, it is. So they need to know that they may obtain personal liability. And if a new business, let's say, takes $100,000 to start, and there are 10 directors on the Family Programs Hawaii board, that each one of them may have to put in $10,000 out of pocket, not from Family Programs Hawaii, but out of their own monies in order to start up this social enterprise. And then they're going to have to go out and find people to run it, which will not be them, because if they run both the social enterprise and the nonprofit Family Programs Hawaii, there might be some uh, fiduciary violations going on there. There might be some conflict of interest that's occurring. So these are the things I think I want you to work on and try to fashion some kind of presentation around that part of it. This will be part of your overall presentation in 3 weeks. So, any questions? So far, you're speaking for the class now.
Yeah, I am. But no, it's pretty clear.
Okay. So if anything comes up, you can contact me. You know where I am. Actually, I'm sitting in my office right now.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and we'll just kind of like push through from here.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.
You too. See you next week.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.